You guys ready to rock?
Born ready.
Let's rock. Welcome to the OutRunners podcast. I am your host, Taylor Rockwell. You can call me Tay-Rock. With me, I have my lovely, beautiful, amazing co-host.
Hello. My name is Katia, and you can call me Katia.
And with us, we have legendary, GOAT status, amazing, ultra runner, 10 out of 10, Bryson.
Let's rock. What's happening?
The three of us are here. We pinged last week that we were going to have you on this week's podcast because you just ran an ultra marathon, but this one's unique. Can you explain what a backyard is like for those who don't know?
Yes, backyard ultra. Some call it a last man standing. It is a 4.2 mile loop, and you have to start this loop every hour on the hour. You have to complete the loop in under an hour, and the race goes until one person finishes the loop by themselves, and you are out of the race if it takes you more than an hour, or if you just quit because it gets so hard. And so, yeah, that's backyard ultra.
When Katia and I ran the 100, I kept saying I would never want to be face to face with Katia in an ultra. And it's because this girl doesn't age. Like, she doesn't get tired. So I think that Katia would be a good ultra person. But we're so happy to have you because neither me or Katia have we ever done a backyard ourselves. So we don't have the experience that you have yet. I'm signed up for one in December. Katia, are you signed up for one?
No, not yet. I don't know if I'm ready for that.
No, she's ready. More than ready.
She's definitely ready.
But before we get into the details of everything, can we start from the beginning? Because Katia brought up a good point, and I wanted to talk about your perspective, and then we'll talk about our perspective. But how we met was really funny. And I don't know if you remember the date. Okay, what was your experience like?
I had been living in Austin for, I don't know, maybe 5 months-ish. And I've been to like most of the run clubs. And the one that I hadn't been to was Body Art Run Club. And so I show up one day. I'm probably a month away from my 100-miler. And this guy, Patrick, I had known him from another workout class. And he knew I was running ultra. And he's like, hey, you got to meet Tay-Rock. She's an ultra runner too. And then he was like, this guy's running 100 miles in a month around Lady Bird Lake. And then you were like, oh, hey, I'm Tay-Rock. I'm doing 100 miles this weekend. And I was like, what? And then from there, it was just like, okay, obviously we're friends. What the heck?
Katia, do you want to add some details that you mentioned yesterday about why it's more funny than that too?
Yeah, because I don't live in Austin, so I just went to visit. And I think it was my second time in the run club. And I knew Taylor does the after miles. So you do the basic, like the normal 3 or 4 miles at the run club. And then afterwards, there is a after run club where you just do a random amount of miles. So which for me is fine. And then I remember we were just like getting ready to go for the after miles. And then I met Bryson. I think Patrick actually introduced us. And then you were just coming off 100K, right? I think it was like Saturday, Sunday, you ran 100K. And that was Wednesday. And I remember, I think at that point, Tay came in and she was like, oh, you're coming for the after miles or something like that. And you were just standing there like, after miles? What is that? And then you were like, I just ran 100K. I think you were like really tired at the time because it was like you were just coming off a big event and stuff. And then I remember you kind of like, I don't know, from my point of view, it was like almost like, so how many do you run usually? And everyone's like, oh, you don't know, you just run. And you just stood there like, okay. And then we ended up running another 10 miles, I think it was. And
no, we did 13.
13 total, including the regular miles.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I remember when we were running, at some point you were like, well, I did not expect to run a half marathon a few days after 100K. And then I think after that, it was kind of like initiation, I guess, that you're now part of the friend group. Because it was like, are you going to come? And you were like, yes. And you don't know how many miles you're going to run. And you just came and you ran. And I think that's like from that, we just became friends.
Bryson's like one of those people that once you came into my life, it was like you never had like an entry into my life. It was just like once you were in my life, it's like, oh, Bryson, he's always been here kind of thing. But yeah, I was telling Katia, like, it's funny because You just came off of 100K. I'm like, do you want to run extra miles? You're like, let's ride. You go out, you ran an additional half marathon. And then after that, I was like, okay, well, in 4 days, Katia and I are running 100 miles around Ladybird Lake. Will you help? And you were there at 3 a.m. running with us. And we've been like best friends ever since. So I think it kind of just shows like the culture of running, I guess. Like, kind of takes one to know one, but once you're in, you're in. We've ran so many miles together in such a short amount of time, but it's just like Adia put it, the initiation, I guess.
I think I actually remember exactly what was said that like made us friends, because you were like, "We're doing after miles. Are you coming?" And I was like, "Oh well, I just ran 100K on Saturday," and you were like, "So?" And I was like, "Oh, that makes sense." And then I think just from there, I was like, "Okay, yeah, this is a friendship."
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Okay, you and I have had a lot of conversations about rookie season. And can you give us some like background on your running journey? Doesn't need to be super in depth, but
Yeah.
can you give us as much as you want to share? Because I know me and you have some different opinions about us being rookies, and I think we have similar timelines. So
Yeah.
I'm interested to hear.
Yeah, so I started running in 2022 after I had pretty much made a decision that I needed to change my life. I was doing pretty much nothing. Like COVID was rough. I just like smoked weed, drank alcohol, played video games, didn't do anything. And then I saw an Eric Hinman video, and do you know him?
Mm-mm.
Well,
Do you?
he's a 5-time Ironman. He's just influencer shredded. And so I saw a video and I was like, I want to, whatever that guy's doing, I need to do that. And it started with cold plunging, and I started cold plunging, and then I was like, okay, this guy runs. Maybe I should run. And then I just gradually started running, and then I just never stopped. And I was dealing with stuff in my life that was really difficult. And so running made that easier. And I had a friend from high school who was like, I was just running casually, and he was like, "Hey, I'm doing a marathon. You should do it with me." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, I'll do it." Not really thinking anything of it. And he's like, "Okay, sign up right now." And I was like, "What?" He's like on the phone, like, "Sign up right now." And I was like, "Okay."
That's a runner.
And then I signed up, and that was it, really. And I just kept going.
Interesting.
Me and Taylor, last episode, we talked about how I never even thought about ultra running. When I started running, there was no even like an option. I
Yeah.
didn't even think there was like, oh, you just go and run 100 miles or something. Did you ever even, because like the guy that you watched, he was an Ironman. So
Yeah.
did you, when you started running, did you ever think that you would go out and do 100K, 100 miles, backyard
No.
ultras? And how has that changed your perspective of running? That it's like there's this whole different world to it. That it's not just like, oh, I'm gonna run half marathon and marathon, which is not like, oh, that's nothing, but still.
Yeah, it's so crazy. I actually didn't think that it was real the first time I saw someone run 100 miles. I was like, that's fake. No one, you can't run 100 miles. It's not possible. That's what I thought when I first saw it. And then as I did a couple marathons, I tried a 50K on my 30th birthday. I tried a 50K and I DNF'd because I had IT band injury going into it, and I shouldn't have run it. But I think just the ultra marathon is kind of a broad term, because I know you guys were talking about it last week. It's kind of just, it's either 31 or like over 26, and then it's anywhere from 31 to
Infinity.
yeah, literally. So like that's a very broad term. I like it because it's really just, ultra marathon is just a test of your mind and your body and like what you're capable of, and you can always push the goalpost, which can be healthy and unhealthy, but it's addicting, really, because the marathon is like, okay, you run the marathon and then you can increase your time if you want to, and at some point you're going to peak, and that's great, and that's like a good goal to pursue. But like the ultra, you can do trail. There's just so many different things that you can do compared to the marathon.
And then in addition to ultra, it's like not only how far can you go, it's how high you can go. So it's like,
Yeah.
oh, you can run 30 miles, cool, but can you run 30 miles for 6 miles up? You know?
It's crazy.
And that's kind of also a fun part of it, is not just like how far you can go, it's like how high can you go. I touched on it briefly, and I'd be interested to hear Katia's thoughts on this as well, because I don't think she was here. Maybe she was. The rookie conversation we've had.
Yeah.
Can you give some background information for those who are listening on that conversation? And then Katia, can you remind me if you were here and then what your thoughts are?
When you talk about being a rookie, is this related to the beginner runner conversation?
Yeah.
Same thing.
You
It-
can even talk about the video you made.
Yeah. So for context, I made a video about Matt Johnson saying that I was a beginner runner, and then I disagreed with it. And he like doubled down. And he's like, "You're a beginner runner," and it bothered me for a day. And then I realized like I actually am more of a beginner than I thought. And I realized in this backyard ultra just this past weekend that so many of us overestimate what we actually are capable of. And
Over?
I think I personally overestimated my ability. I've actually changed my mindset on if I'm a beginner runner. Like, and I was talking to a friend who she ran a sub 3 hour marathon, and she was saying that she feels like a beginner runner. And I was like, Julia, what are you talking about? You are a sub 3 hour marathoner. And I was like, you're not a beginner. You're just in a different room now. Like you graduated into the room of the elites, and within that room, you are a beginner. And I know how you talk about like as an ultra, like you're new to ultra, and so you're not a beginner runner, but you're a beginner for ultra, or you're a beginner in the long distance trail, like for Moab. Like in that room, you're a beginner, but the term running is kind of a broad term, and like you're not a beginner runner, but maybe you're a beginner ultra runner. And so that's kind of how I've shifted my mindset on it.
Okay. Would you still say that I'm not a beginner runner if I tell you I've been running for under 2 years?
The way I see it is like beginners don't know what they're doing. Like
Okay.
if you're a rookie,
Okay.
you need
Take that knowledge. Beginner doesn't know what they're doing. Katia, I'd like to hear your input after this. They don't know what they're doing, but then they Google it, and now all of a sudden they know what they're doing.
Yeah, that's funny.
Then now that they have the knowledge, are they instantly jumping a threshold that they're no longer beginner?
Yeah, that's what's interesting about the world we live in now of information everywhere is you can say how do I fuel for a marathon? You can Google it. And the information you get might be how a elite marathon runner fuels, and you've never fueled like that before in a training block. And so you go out and you do 90 grams of carbs during your marathon, and your stomach totally abandons you and you have to go to the bathroom, and like you don't get your time. So just having information in your head doesn't translate to the race. Kind of like I was telling you about with my backyard. Maybe we'll get into this, but like preaching, don't have expectations. But like it's one thing to know it, it's another thing to be able to do it.
I think you can have an experienced runner that has run for 2 years, and then you can have a beginner runner that has run for 2 years. I think it just depends on how much you have done in that time and how much you have learned for yourself. Because I have been running for like 3 years now, just over 3 years. And I would say, even though I might not have done like a lot of events or races or anything like that, but I think I'm quite experienced in a way that like I know how far to push myself. Whereas if somebody else might have run for 3 years as well, and they haven't like learned a lot of things. And I think there's a lot to learn, like about the fuel, about your body and everything. Because I just recently had a conversation with somebody about it, and they're like, how do you know when you push too much? I was like, it's practice. It's simple practice. Like, I know how far I can go with my mind and my body, and like what foods work for me. Whereas it's like, and it's trial and error. Like, you can go out and be like, oh, I can do, I don't know, 50 miles in like, based on my data, like I can do 50 miles in like, I don't know, let's say 7 hours. But like, you can never actually know that. And then you go out and something goes wrong, and that's fine. And you learn from it. And next time you might do it. So I think, yeah, having 2 years run, you can be a beginner and you can be amateur. So I wouldn't say it depends on like the years or months you have run. I think it just like how much you have learned about yourself and the events during that time.
What's weird is I feel like I slightly disagree with you both.
Let's hear it.
Like you saying, like someone asking, how do you know how far you can go? And you're like, you just know over experience. I don't think that's true. And then you also said, I think I overestimate how far I can go. And I also think that's not true. I think like the limit of what you can go is like never to be determined.
Well, let me clarify that.
Okay.
When I say that, that's me specifically thinking about my most recent race, which is the Backyard Ultra. And I was coming off of the 100-mile finish for the Ladybird Lake 100. And so I was kind of like, my ego was inflated, and I thought that like I was going to be someone who could compete for like a top 10 finish at this backyard.
Okay.
And I had totally overestimated my ability based on a previous outcome that had nothing to do with the backyard.
Okay. Interesting. Katia, do you have any thoughts on what I said about like you knowing exactly where you're gonna go? Because like for you to say like, oh, with experience, okay, kind of like race day magic. People train for marathons, but they've never ran a marathon that fast before.
Well, your training specifically gets you ready. Like if you have a good coach, good training plan, you don't have to go that far that fast to be able to do it. Like you haven't run 240 miles, but you're gonna.
Yeah, but specifically, that's what I mean where like I feel like it's just go with the flow. Like there's no actual way of knowing. Like you on a different day probably would have done better in the backyard just because it was a different day, different nutrition, different temperature, different step. We'll get to your experience in a second.
Yeah.
But Katia, what do you have any? Do you double down on your words or do you agree?
I think for me personally, I do stand by. I know obviously there can be anything can happen. Like I can wake up and I have a bad belly ache or like weather or like anything can happen. But I feel like for me personally, I think I know. I don't know. But I have never actually not like I don't know, like even when I did my 100 miles on my own, like I had a plan in my head and I was like I'm gonna do it either way. Like I did in a different time that like I kind of like I was like I'm gonna do it anyways, like I'm gonna crawl if I have to, you know. And I think a lot of people would break under that and they would be like, oh no. So I think for me personally, yeah, I can, it comes with experience and knowing how far you can go.
See, but that's where I'm saying incorrect is like you don't know how far you can go because you're so resilient. Because you're so resilient, that number does not exist because you will just
Oh,
keep going.
yeah, because I haven't been like, oh, maybe I can do 200 miles because I haven't
Maybe you
explored.
could do 2000. Like, I really think, like, if someone said, I'm going to drop you off in California and you need to run to New York, we would do it. Our brains would rationalize it. And we wouldn't have the perfect gels and the perfect carb mix and the perfect sleep. We would figure it out. We would do it. That's what I'm saying. Like, no expectation, no, like, perfect training block, like, no, like, oh, with experience, like, you've never done these distances, you've never done these times, but, like, just being confident in yourself is, like, enough to get you there, regardless of like the situation of the weather, the food, the water, the sleep, whatever. Like we will get there.
Yeah,
I
I think
agree with that.
yeah, I think because like I always had like, oh, the marathon, the 100K, 100 miles or something, I always had the end point. I have never had to not have the end point. So I didn't even think about the part that you just said.
Well, that's why your brain is so part of running that the race that you're in is so relevant because like yes, it can be a 5K and so your body knows, all right, well, it's only 5K so I use my energy in this capacity. If it's a like cross America, it's going to be a different way that you're using your energy and so you're planning for the future. And I don't know if either of you have heard this analogy. Running is like it's like the bank or something. Like every run is either a deposit into your bank or a withdrawal. And so that's like you're training and you're just stacking, you're just depositing into your bank account. And then like you said, race day magic, if you build up enough into your account and you know how to withdraw that in the proper way, then you can just unload the bank account and just send it, and your energy supply doesn't matter because it's supposed to be at zero. And just whatever the race is, whatever the goal is, you have to determine how you want to stack up your account and how you want to spend that on race day.
Whoa, that's a really cool analogy. I like that because last episode, Katia and I were talking, and I was at the 30 mile, and I was like, oh, my body's starting to hurt. It's starting to feel like race day, not a training block. And so I stopped at mile 30 when I had 30, like 4, 6
Yeah.
on the agenda. And I think the way you said it is like, oh, I started to withdraw rather than I wasn't pumping some coins or checks into that account. That's interesting. I like the way you said that.
Yeah, I forget who told me that. But during my 100, June 20th, it started to be really hot and my heart rate started to get higher than I wanted. And so I was like, okay, I have to slow down the rate at which I'm withdrawing. And so I purposely was like, I'm going to be off of my 24-hour goal pace, but I have to because otherwise I won't be able to get to the end.
That is very interesting. All right. What everyone is waiting for, the backyard experience.
I want you to talk more about what happened going into like with expectations, because I remember when we talked about it before, you were like, oh, if somebody hold a gun to my head, like I could keep going, right? And it was a different race, wasn't it? It was like different loops. Because in backyard ultra, you can have like different terrains. Like you said, you had the day loops and then the night loops. Was it
Yeah.
because it was the trails and the road, or what happened?
Yeah, there was a day loop, first 12 hours, and then the night loop, and then obviously you go back and forth every 12 hours. And in terms of expectations, I think what happened was I have enough experience. I feel like you get to a point in whatever the thing is you're doing, running or like even chess or whatever it is, you start off bad, and so you're like, oh, I'm not good, I need to learn. And then you get a little bit better, and then you think you're good, and then you get a little bit better, and then you realize that you're not good, if that makes sense. And so I feel like I was at the point to where I had enough experience. I'd done a backyard, I've done a couple 100Ks, I've done a 100 miler. So I was like filled with, I just call it ego. Like I just thought that I was like good. I thought I was cool. And so I had this expectation that I was going to be able to perform well and place high in this race. And then what specifically happened out on the course was that the first 12 hours, the trail was pretty tough. It like wasn't anything crazy. It was, I think, 350 feet of gain per loop. And I don't know what the math is on that for 50 miles, but it wasn't terrible. And so I was running, first 12 hours, elevation was getting to me. I was like, okay, I can't wait to get onto the night loop because it's 100 feet less of gain and it's not trails. And so it's not as twisty and turny. And so you can kind of run a little faster and get a rhythm. And so I had this expectation that it was going to be easier. And it sounds so crazy to say out loud right now. It's like, oh, 60 to 100 is going to be easy. Like that, for some reason, is the expectation that I ended up having while I was on the trails. And then once the transition came, this race was weird because I had to like drive to a different spot. This is really unique because the trail it was so narrow that it was a loop. And so they had 3 different starting spots for the first 12 hours. I know it's kind of confusing. And then so starting the 13th loop, I had to go to a different starting spot because people had left and cleared out, and so they wanted everyone to come back together. And so that kind of messed me up because I got behind on time and I wasn't able to change my shoes for running on concrete.
Oof.
And
You were in trail shoes on the road?
yeah, it was bad. And so
Oh my God.
I was 7 minutes behind and I had to start running on this concrete, and it was rolling hills, and I only did 3 loops on the night loop. And where the expectation really got me was because I had thought that it was going to be easier. It wasn't. I had thought that I was going to do well, and it set in that I wasn't going to be able to finish because I'm looking around and everyone's together now, and it's all these badass runners. And I know that these people are so good. And I'm like, these guys are going 200 plus miles. Like, there's no way I can get there. And so this doubt started to creep in, and the pain started to creep in even more. And everything that I thought was going to happen didn't happen. And I just got into a really bad mindset and I couldn't get out of it. And it was like you were saying, Katia, like gun to my head, could I keep going? Yes. But I just kept thinking, like, for what? Like, I'm okay, I can fight through 4 more loops maybe, but I'm still not going to reach the goal that I had set. And so that's where the expectation was like, I could have gone further, but I set the expectation way too far out. And there was so much gap in between the expectation and the reality that like I couldn't muster up more in that moment to go as far as I possibly could have because I was so far away from my expectation.
What's interesting, so Bryson started to tell Katia and I his experience, and I immediately was like, no, 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 don't tell us, save it for the podcast. This is like truly the first time we're hearing some of these things. What's interesting is now hearing you say what you just said is very, very, very parallel to what C said his backyard experience was. And when he came home and he was telling you his experience, you had a lot to say and a lot of feedback to give him. I'm going to ask you, do you remember the things you told him?
I'm sure it was about don't think about other people, run your race, something along those lines. I don't remember specifically, but it's these things that I hear people talk about, like Mark Dowdle, like I would say probably has the best mindset in terms of backyard ultra, but he forged that mindset through practice, not through hearing other people talk about it. And so whatever I said to C is something that I heard someone say and not what I learned through experience.
That's interesting. Okay. Yeah, because it does like foster the question of like, okay, well, is this just how it goes? Like similar to what Katia and I were talking about last episode, where she's like, you just need to go out and like just take your watch off and just have fun. And I told her I can't just go out and take my watch off and have fun, because then I'll have the expectation that if my watch is off, I have to have fun, and then I'll be pissed off that I'm not having enough fun. And I was saying, like, in order to truly have fun and go out there and like muster the experience, it has to to like just come to me organically. I can't force it. And it's kind of similar to what you're saying, is like I was almost forcing this narrative when it wasn't living within you organically. So now that you have this experience, do you feel as if you have fostered the organic feeling, or do you think you still have lessons to be learned?
There's definitely still lessons to be learned, especially specifically in the backyard ultra. I think it's interesting because I can have fun. It all depends on your level of competition. Like, how competitive are you? I know C is very competitive. I don't think like you want to have fun and you want to do your best, but like you're not trying to like beat other people. And like that competitive nature, especially in the backyard ultra, is a big factor. Is like, how much do you let that drive you? Because if you're competitive and then you're going up against someone who's just better than you and then like, I'm not going to beat them. I don't know, it's just so
Well,
mental.
something that you told C, so C came in third in his backyard, and two women had come in first and second. And he was telling you, I pulled out. I could have gone further, but I pulled out because they looked so much healthier than me, and their batteries were just way more full. Their bank account was larger than mine, that I just knew that I would be depleted way before them. So I called it after 100 miles. And you were like, no, like they look that way, but you can't be deceived. Like, they always look good. And I've seen people out there that were smiling and waving and then will just not go out the next loop. It's crazy. So taking your own advice, do you have any reflection on like maybe those people weren't as is good condition that you somehow forged yourself into thinking?
Well, so the difference between C's race and mine is that when he dropped out, there was only two people. When I dropped out, I got 24th. So there were people who I probably could have beat if I wanted to. But I already knew that the guys that I was comparing myself to, people that like I had no business comparing myself to. Levi, Yoder, and Nick Pedersen are both now on the USA World Championship team. And so like, you're not going to go to a basketball court and be like, well, I can't beat LeBron James, so I'm not going to show up. It's like, why would I compare myself to those guys? And in the moment, it just gets you. It's the mind will do crazy things. Yes, like me giving C advice, it comes from honestly like ego and arrogance. Like, I like to think that I know so much about backyard, but I've only done two now. I know nothing. I'm a rookie in backyard.
What's interesting is my favorite thing that you've told me that I use daily, like literally, you've told me this once and it stuck with me for so long, is you say like two things. One, you're like, well, yeah, it's gonna hurt. You expecting it not to hurt is naive of you. Like, once you're hurting, like, it's doing what it's doing. So whenever I feel pain, I'm just like, oh, welcome. Like, this is what I expected. But more importantly, number two, you told me the brain's going to do what it always is going to tell you to do, and it's going to tell you to stop. And that's been interesting because ever since you've told me that, whenever I have this moment of like, is this a real injury or is this just a mild injury? Like, is this a real pain or is this just a whatever pain? Am I actually hungry? Am I actually about to shit myself? Or is this just going to go away? Like, whatever. And then it reminds me that like my brain is doing this and like this data analytic of just like convincing me to stop. And ever since I've been so aware of how much the brain is just teaching you or wanting to tell you to stop, it's changed my running. And you told me that. That came from you. Yeah. So now that you're saying like, oh yeah, the brain just wants me to stop, have you had any experience trying to overcome that?
I think the more you get into running, you have to overcome that on some level every single day, every single time. And in the backyard is really just a test of how many times can you overcome that, and it hits different places for every single person. But like, as much as I'm saying it was a bad race for me, I did overcome that. It was just I couldn't keep overcoming it to get to 100 miles or whatever it was. And so, yeah, I mean, I think about that all the time. And like, even a 5K run on Wednesday at Body Art, we did a 9-minute pace and it was so hot, my heart rate was 192 on a 5K. And so like, I had to overcome that, my body telling me to stop on that run. And so like, no matter what run you do, your body's always going to tell you to stop because running is hard. And the backyard is just like such a test of pain tolerance. And like, your appetite for pain has to be so high. It's crazy.
Listening to all this, I just think I think there were different whys for you when you went into the 100 miles and when you went into the backyard ultra. I think in 100 miles you wanted to, I don't know, I feel like maybe you in the 100 miles you went for experience versus the backyard you went, oh, I want to be
compete.
like, yeah. And that's very interesting because like in those 100 miles you didn't even have a medal at the end.
No.
And you still went and you still did it. And like in the backyard, to see the like you. I don't know if it's right for me to say, but you kind of like throw the towel in because you're like, oh, I have all these stronger people against me, like, but you never, it's crazy because you never know. You never know. Even like watching the Go One More earlier this year, they were
Yeah.
like, I was listening to one podcast yesterday and they were talking about it as well. It's like, oh, they were going against like Harvey and Kim and they're like really strong runners. Like Harvey, I think he has done like 100 something loops. I
Yeah, he's
don't know
gone almost
exactly.
500 miles. Yeah.
Yeah, and for him to then drop off like halfway through, and you were saying like all those guys, I'm not sure the names exactly, but like I think that's where you need to go back to like the actual reasons why you run. Because I think that's
Yeah.
a very, very, I don't know, like when I was running the 100 miles, I was like, it's not even like you have to have a bigger why than just like, oh, I want to win. Oh, I want to be the third. I want to be the 10th or something like that.
Yeah.
And I think you going out and having that experience, which we
Mm-hmm.
just talked about, like you can tell somebody like, oh, you shouldn't have, the expectation that you're going to get like the 10th or the third or whatever. Is like, this was just the learning for you for the next time when you do the ultra, no, the backyard. Another thing I wanted to talk to you about is like when you did the 100 miles, how did it feel not to have the medal at the end?
I didn't even think about the medal. I didn't even care about the medal because I had so many people there. Taylor can attest to this. Like, it's crazy how many people showed up for me. Like, to me, that was the medal. Having Griffin show up with the good pain finish line thing and having people show up and sprint with me at the end when I like get this energy and start sprinting, and obviously Tay Rock just like recording all these videos. Like, to me, that was the medal. Like, what? I don't. What's a medal? Like, I don't. Yeah, they're cool, but like a medal doesn't compare at all to having people support you to run 100 miles. That was the greatest feeling in the world. To have all my friends that I just met within less than 6 months show up for me. That was, to me, the medal. I'll remember that way more
And
than like looking at a medal on a shelf.
I think it just shows how much the end goal is not actually important, but the experience. And I feel like that is like the thing that you might have gone wrong in the backyard where you were like, oh, I want to, the end goal. You weren't there actually experiencing, having those people
Yeah.
around you, going out in those crazy trails and then running on the road. Like you weren't, I think your heart was in it more in the 100 miles than it was in the backyard ultra.
Yeah. One thing I think is important to remember with running is that everybody's different. Everybody has a different story, a different background, a different reason why they run. And for some people, the competitive nature to win is enough. Like for C, like that might be more valuable to him than it is to me. Like, I'm not as competitive. I don't care that much about winning. And for some reason, like I made that the main thing. And I am still trying to figure out exactly why. And I keep going back to the fact that it's ego based and like people will think like I'm cool if I can place high in these races. But like clearly that's not good enough motivation because I don't care that much about winning. I just want to have fun and find out who I am and learn about myself.
Honestly, like, C's not here. Hopefully, what I'm saying is true, and he probably will have words to say about it. But I would quite frankly disagree and maybe analyze C specifically, how you're saying, like, he cares more about winning. I don't ever think he cared about winning. I think he truly lived a good philosophy of running, of just like putting your best step forward, doing your best, no expectations. He truly embodied that philosophy, similar to what Katia and I preach, that naturally he became good just by that. And then he won a marathon, and he was like, I woke up that day 5 minutes late to the marathon. I showed up, I just like got in, like I just ran it. Didn't have enough gels, I didn't have water, like it was whatever. And he just had the best experience of his life, and he took first place. He's like, never in a million years I think I was gonna,
Yeah.
take first place in a marathon. And I think once he got good, then almost this expectation of like, oh, now that I'm good, I can go out and perform really good. And I think that now he has a lot more, if I can say without him being here defending himself, visualizing seeing him, I think he struggles more tapping into that like effortless, free flowing philosophy, because he almost has this expectation of like, look at how many medals, first, second, third, he has on his wall, that now when he's like, when I go to an event, I almost need to perform because that's the level of which I've performed in the past.
Yeah.
That it almost takes away this effortlessly flow. I hope that he agrees. It'd be interesting to hear what he says. But just analyzing him and seeing his experience, that's what I've observed.
Yeah, maybe I'm confusing his competitive nature with just his experience and his evidence that tells him that I'm good enough to compete. Not that he cares about it, but like he just knows it in his heart based on his experience that he's good enough to compete.
I don't think he ever would have been like, I'm good enough to compete until he started getting good.
Yeah, based on the evidence.
Yeah, yes, but I don't think it should change anything. Like I think he would have way more further success if he never even looked at the places. Because okay, let's take your experience. You're in this ultra, 24 other men in front of you. They're crazy, they're elite.
Women, savage women.
Yeah, women, men in front of you. What happens? Take those 24 people, suck them out, take them somewhere else in another reality, and insert 24 other people, and they're just people from body art, just like average runners. Then would you keep going?
Yeah, if I was the best, that's the thing is like we like analyze other people and we place ourselves where we think we land. And maybe that's just me.
That's what I'm saying though. Is like there's no difference between the realities. Your capability shouldn't be affected by the environment.
I agree, but in practice, it's so hard to do that.
I know, because I was just telling Katia in the last episode, I went Hill of Life with Griffin and Matt.
Yeah.
And they were walking up this hill at the same pace that it was taking me to run up the hill. And I was just thinking, people are going to be out in Moab walking this shit as much energy as it's going to take me to run it. And like, exactly, that's my reality. And it's my perception. I know it's easier said than done because I have my own battles. Yeah. But how can we get to a place where we're so at peace with who we are? Our confidence is so high that it doesn't seep into an ego. It just seeps into a safe of like all bets on us.
Yeah, that's really tough. And trying to get practical to actually answer the question, like how do you shift from knowing these things as a philosophy and actually having it a part of you and in your decision making process? And I think what I'm coming up with is the answer is like you have to take these tests, which are the races and the backyards, to test yourself. You have to like find your limit because a lot of people, and there's nothing wrong with it, like I strive to like push the boundary and test myself in like personal growth and like my mindset. Some people just run because it's good for your health, but like if you want to test the limit and find out what you're capable of, you have to do more than just like train and like casually run a marathon. Like Moab 240 is going to test you like you've literally never been tested. You will be broken. You will get broken to the point where you will not be the same person when you're done. And the only way to find practical ways to like make these philosophies part of who you are is by testing your limits.
That's interesting. I'm glad you shared your answer. I'm going to share my answer, and then I'd love to hear Katia's answer because I have a feeling we're all going to be very similar but very different.
Okay.
I like what you said. It's not that I disagree or fully agree. It's just I would answer that question by I feel like I have the answer in like a little tube of like, here you go, take this and you'll be fine. And that comes from running from a place of selflessness. And I learned this by pacing people. The first experience I ever had was when I paced C in his Rocky Raccoon 100. And I ran 50 miles with him. And the entire 50 miles, I didn't do one self-reflection. I only had all eyes and thoughts on him. And it was, did he drink enough water? Did he eat in the last 15 minutes? I was running in front of him just to say, high knees, Brock, high knees, Cliff, like just to call out the course so he knew when he needed to get more energy. I would say incline, keep it easy, whatever. I only was running the course to tell the person behind me how they should be performing. I would make sure that when we stopped at aid stations that I would take on enough food for him. Yeah. And it wasn't until I got him across that finish line that all of a sudden I stopped and I was like, oh my God, I'm tired. Yeah. And not for 1 second did I have an ounce of fatigue, tiredness, or any self-reflection to even acknowledge that I was in that phase. And then that was the first experience. Shortly after, a couple weeks later, I paced Zach in the Austin Marathon. Zach is an interesting character because he was paralyzed twice. He was paralyzed twice in his life. Dang. And he couldn't walk. So for him to say, I'm going to run a marathon is like a whole thing. We were out there for almost 6 hours. So like a 6 hour marathon would do some work on a body, you know, especially in Austin heat, whatever. Again, didn't feel anything until I got home, and then I laid in my bed and I was like, my body feels like a bag of rocks. So this is something that Katia and I kind of talked about too. I ran the 100 with Katia. Katia ran it with intentions of, how do I help Taylor prep for Moab? Let's say I'm a pacer. She obviously didn't age very much in that race, like almost at all, the event. I aged a lot because I had this pressure of like every mile from Moab. This is like, how am I going to do 240 if this is how I feel at 100?
Yeah.
Like, you know, and she was like, do, sky is blue, dirt is brown. Like, I'm having so much fun. And then she went out and ran her own 100 by herself. And she came back and she's like, that was the hardest thing I ever did because it was her event. She wasn't pacing Taylor. So for me, I think the secret is if you can run for selflessness, whether that's greater power, God, others, yourself. Like, I'm not sure what everybody's selflessness reason for running shall be, but I think if you can tap into that frequency, there's like a superpower in there.
Okay, I agree with you, and I want to hear Katia, but I also, maybe I can save my follow-up question, but like, I agree with you. But when you are alone, how do you not run selfishly? Like because when you're in a backyard and it's nighttime and you don't really have the energy to be yapping and talking and like making friends, and some people don't want to talk, and like you really are alone. And yes, you can lean on your crew, but like when you are so alone, maybe the answer is God.
Well, so C taught me this. So giving him some credit. He taps into his younger child, and for me, that works for me. And I think I've shared some of that philosophy with Katia, and I think it works for her too. We'll get to all. I know she's taking notes, so she's like. But for us, when I'm out there and I just think back to the simplest form, I'm outside, I'm running, I'm playing in the dirt, and I'm just like, no curfew. I'm just a kid having fun running through, just being a kid. That's where I can unlock that selflessness of just like, oh, I fall and scrape my knee. It's like, that's being a kid. Get up and like, keep going.
Interesting.
I agree with both of you because the first thing for me personally is experience. It just goes back to like what we talked about in the beginning. Like, when do you become more of a runner than beginner runner? I think it just comes with experience, doing the hard things, going out, and then you kind of like, you stack the evidence. That's why I was saying to Tay, you know, like she was, I don't know, this and that, you know, in the 100, how I'm going to do another 140 after this 100 if I feel like this. And I personally, for me, that's why I gave her the opinion, like the advice was, you just need to stack evidence, which I know would work for me. Like how if somebody would say like, oh, you need to go out run 200 miles, right away in my head, okay, I need to do this. I need to like run on extremely tired legs because I know at the end of the 200 miles, I'm going to be so tired. Like I'm going to be pretty much like unable to move. How do I get to the point? Run more. Run on tired legs all the time, be tired, or all those things. That works for me. But also shifting the mindset of like, yeah, as Tay said, like we're just having fun, removing anything else from it, like all the expectations. It doesn't matter. Like the last ultra I did, I was in trenches. I was actually really hurt. But then I was just running and I was like, what a beautiful day to be out and run in these woods. Like, actually, when you really deep it down, like, what an amazing way to spend a day. And that's why I said to other people, they were like, oh my God, you're so fast and you're this and that and whatever. I'm like, I just had to respond and like, it's a great day to be out, you know? And I feel like sometimes we just put so much pressure on ourselves and like to try and perform for others or like anything like that. And then you just like strip it all back and be like, why? Like the fact that you can do those things, sometimes maybe that's enough of why you keep moving. And I think it works differently for people because like when I was in trenches on my 100 miles, I think I went through all the reasons. I went through, like, I was tapping into everything I could find. I was tapping into, like, I know I can run on tired legs. I know I can, first, I knew I can do the distance. Second, I knew I can run on really tired legs because I just did the run the date challenge, which was horrible. And then once that didn't work, I was like, okay, I just get to be out here and just run. And all those things, like, I think we just need to collect all those things in ourselves, have it in a pocket or whatever, and you just pick out whatever works. And I think that helped people go further than they thought they would ever be able to go.
The message I want to point out to somebody who's listening to this is to simplify your expectations. And what I mean by that is Bryson's over here saying, I had an expectation to podium in my backyard. And it's like, maybe you're driving in the car right now and you think, yeah, well, I can't relate to that. I don't care to podium in a backyard anytime soon. That's not necessarily just the expectations people put yourself under. And for example, a more like everyday expectation is like for me, like I get really stressed out sometimes if I feel like I've worked so much all day and now I don't have time for running, and great, now I'm going to be running till midnight because I waited to the last minute and now I have this expectation of time. Like I should have done this earlier. And like, why did I wait to the last minute? And I use this example specifically because the other day work was a mess. Like my friend Caesar texts me, he's like, hey, you want to go bike ride, which is normally when we go out. I had to say no because I had to do more work, and I just felt so overwhelmed. By the time I got out there, I was just like in the dark by myself, and now I have this like safety factor I'm considering of just like I'm just a little girl out here by myself and I feel vulnerable. And then I just literally used the example of when me and you were out on your 100, because I ran 60 out of the 100 miles with Bryson. So I was there for a good chunk. And I remembered when I was out there with you and it was 2 a.m., I did not even care or consider what time it is. I didn't really think about what was out there or all the work I had to do. I was just out there with my friends running, and we were laughing at the moonlight, and we were laughing and dancing, and we saw a rave, and we were just like, this is just so much fun. And then I literally took that energy from your 100 and I was like, how do I embody in that, inject this into myself? And then I was like, you need to have a good experience while you're out here. And then all of a sudden, I just imagined you behind me. I literally was like, Bryson's behind me, and I'm just pacing, and I'm just making sure that I set the energy and I set the tone. Because to me, that was like a huge part of the pacing. It was just like, I'm never going to show you that I'm tired. I'm never going to show you that I'm fatigued. I'm never going to complain about my feet hurting, because like all I'm going to do is just set the tone and like the high energy and like, what do you need? Multiple times I'm like, do you want us to yap or do you want us to shut up? Like I was just trying to set the tone for what you needed. So for me, I was like, Bryson's behind me, set the tone. And I was just like, high knees, good posture, high energy, and just like, let's get this run done and let's be a strong runner. And then I was perfectly fine. I didn't care about the time. I did what I needed to do. I was aware enough to make sure I was safe enough, but I wasn't paranoid. Exact same situation, different day, same time. It's just my expectation was different. So daily expectations can also hinder your performance, whether you realize it or not.
Totally. Another thing that running teaches me, especially ultra, is that it's just more of like an overall life thing. The people that you let into your life is so important. And the whole David Goggins mindset of like stay hard, like that's fine and dandy and all, but like to me at the end of the day, it's literally life is just about people, and running proves how important people are because you can help somebody get the best out of themselves and other people can help get the best out of you, and you can't go as far as you possibly can in an ultra marathon unless you have good pacers and a good crew. It's just physically impossible to go as far as you can with no help. And I just love that how running shows me how much people matter in this world. To see how many people showed up for me for my birthday for that 100 was the greatest thing I could have ever gotten. And
He probably had 30 plus people show up at some point throughout the duration. I literally called Katia and I was like, who knew Bryson was the most popular kid on the block? Like, this is
She
insane.
did. She was like, "Oh my god, all these people are out here." But it's great. It just shows that like it's important to have great people around you, and like you can go far when you go with the other people. Because this reminds me as well when you were in Michigan, you were like, you asked me, how do I do, like how do I run on my own?
yeah, I was
And
curious to ask you about that because you do run alone a lot, and
No crew.
just because I say like the people, it's not really quantity, it's like quality. Like you have your people, and just because it's not a lot of people and you run alone a lot doesn't mean you don't have your people.
Well, did you listen to the episode where I said, like, not to dog on Bryson at all, but he had 30 people out there. He was trying to attempt this in 24 hours. And even with all the support, all this, like he still, and like she did it 100% alone, taking on all the mental fatigue, all the calculations, all the decisions, like everything by herself.
I listened to that.
Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like she does a good job creating it herself, being like, she's on the course. She doesn't know these people, but she'll be like, good job, runner. Good job. She tells the volunteers, thank you. Almost like us being so assertive that like you're a part of my crew, even like involuntarily, they don't know it. Like she's just like, hey, thank you for being here for me. And like that like confidence and assurance almost creates her own community, her own crew, without having to be like, hey, can you come out here and like, because it is a big job. Like that's half the reason I'm paying for everybody to come to Moab for a week with me, is like not just to be like, hey, I'm a good friend, I'm gonna pay for you. It's like I realize the ask and dedication that I'm asking these people to come out and support me. And like while they're gonna have fun and have their own experience, it's like I almost want to compensate how much of an ask that is for me to just say, come support me. And it is a big job, like maybe one that's even overlooked.
Oh, for sure. It's a huge job. And if you look at anybody who's trying to do something tough, like Run Across America or Matt Johnson's Project 7, like they are very particular about who they let in, and they make sure that they have the right people.
Do you wanna say what you told me when you got here?
Oh, about this.
You were like, my life is so crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. Like I'm doing so many cool things, and I think it's really important to surround yourself with people who are doing crazy stuff and fun stuff. Like I'm about to go crew Project 7 in New Jersey.
Not everyone knows what that is. Will you say what it is?
Yeah, so Matt Johnson is doing 7 full distance triathlons in 7 days in a row.
Which is an Ironman.
Yeah, he's not allowed to say Ironman. I guess we could say it on here. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
So 7 Ironmans in 7 days. I'm doing that in August, and then I'm going to Running Man in September, and then I'm crewing you in Moab in October, and it's like it's just so many cool things, and it's all because of just the people that I've met. It's fascinating to me to meet people and learn about what they're doing and find out how you can help them.
You know, when you went back to Michigan and now back in Austin, how has your perspective changed? Because like when you were in Austin, you had all these great people around you. Everything was fun and great. And then you went to Michigan and it was like, oh, where are all the people? Where are everyone? Like,
interesting.
Did it put a bit like into perspective when you went back to Austin? Because like for me, running on my own, I have been just doing it for so long. You know, I didn't know any different. And then when I went to Austin, and I was like, hold on a minute, like this is fun. People actually like to run, and it's cool to run with people. And then when I came back, I was like, oh, so that's why people think I'm crazy, because I run a lot on my own. So I think you being removed from that environment, then put in a different one, and then back into it, do you appreciate it a little bit more? Do you like, how does that change your mindset? Maybe before you didn't, not that you didn't appreciate, but I think you just like maybe appreciate it a lot more now, seeing the difference. Because I think you can just get wrapped up into the world, and then you're kind of like removed from it. And then I'm just talking from my own experience right now, because like I know going from one to another, and then you're like kind of thrown back into it, and you're like, I don't really know what's going on.
Yeah, I think Austin is one of those places where you can meet 50 new people literally every single day if you wanted. And when I first moved here, that's kind of what I was doing, was just meet as many people as possible. But that's just because I was in a new city. I didn't know anybody. And then so I made a bunch of friends, close friends, I would say. And then I went to Michigan for a month, and then I was with my family and my nephews, and like I barely saw. It was literally my brother, my sister-in-law, my nephews. I saw like some of my family, but it's not like I'm seeing 50 people every day. But like it's my family, and it's so close. And then I come back to Austin, and I'm like, I want the closeness, but I also want to meet new people. And so what I'm realizing is that if you're in a city like Austin, you have to find your people, but also like once you meet people that you like, you have to foster those relationships, and that might mean sacrificing like meeting other people and going to other places. But having a bunch of surface level relationships is And to me, it's not very fruitful. And so, like, what I'm realizing now coming back is like, just because I'm in a big city with a bunch of people doing a bunch of cool things, like, I have to foster the relationships that I have with the people that I've decided are the ones I want to hang out with. And I think moving forward, like, it's a big goal of mine because I can't spread myself too thin. Like, I have my own goals I want to accomplish, and I have my friends who I want to support them with their goals. And like, I only have so much bandwidth to be able to do those things. And so, yeah, I guess that's just like my thought process on that so far.
It's interesting because I moved to Austin being like, I still have my house in San Diego. I own my house in San Diego. So it's like, oh, I'll get an apartment in Austin. I'll spend some time there, but I'll still live in San Diego. But now it's like, I feel like I live in Austin. I just spend time in San Diego. And it's because Austin has this magic energy where it's just like the hype is real. Whatever people say about Austin, it's real in the sense of like, I met you on a run club and like somehow now I pace you in 100 mile, you're pacing me in 240. Like you find your people. And it's not just like the runners. There's a huge triathlon club here. There's a huge tech. Like it's just like people find their people here. And I think that's what it is. I sometimes struggle because my hometown is like this big. And when I go back there, it's almost like so dull that like it's hard for me to even find my sparkle. It's like I don't even flick. It's like a match just like trying to light and I can't. And being there sometimes is scary or makes me feel insecure because I feel like I little myself down to the city expectations. I don't even like to dress the way I dress here because I'm like, that's just too bold, too loud. But here, like, I feel like I don't even notice or think about what I wear. But when I'm here in the city, it's like almost everyone's shining so bright. That's like, even if your match doesn't light, just get close enough to somebody else and it'll light you. And then you can just come right back. So I sometimes feel a lot of guilt because like my family all lives in Colorado. I don't really go there. I go back to California more than I go to Colorado. And it's kind of like this guilt of, am I spending enough time with family? But when I'm there, I feel like a shell of myself. And then when I'm here, I feel so bright. I feel so bold. I feel so confident.
Yeah.
It's something that I struggle with because it's like, I would be so close to my family and I love them so much, but perhaps they would be the last people I would want on my crew for an event like that, just because of the energy that gets pulled from me when I'm in those situations.
That whole mindset and that whole thing you just laid out is a whole nother podcast in and of itself.
Okay.
Of like your family and like all of that. I have a lot to say, but
Can you put it in a cliff note? Or Katia
I
has a lot of
agree.
experience too.
yeah, Katia, go
I
ahead.
agree because, like, my brother yesterday, I said I'm running. He asked me how long. I was like 3 hours. He was like, only 3 hours. I was like, okay. But that was almost like it wasn't in a good way. It was in
Like he was joking.
Side eye, like only 3
Sarcastic.
hours. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
you think you're better than us? Oh,
Yeah.
3 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So,
Do the rapid fire?
yes.
She has
Okay.
good ones. She did
What's
this last
rapid fire?
episode and
Okay.
I like it.
No,
Oh, yeah.
I did different ones this time because I didn't want to repeat.
Okay, but you're in the hot
myself.
seat.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm ready.
Long run plus 20 plus miles or speed session under 10 miles.
Long run.
Long run.
At this point, I kind of miss speed sessions, so probably speed session. Then
Boring.
road or trail.
After that backyard, I say trail.
Same. I think I have learned my lesson on that one. Morning runs or evening runs?
Morning.
Oh, they possess different magic. I give the morning runners something. What's interesting is I've been running in the morning on the weekends, but not. Okay, I still will stick with my evening runs.
I prefer morning runs, but I have been doing a lot more evening runs because I train in the morning. But morning runs are the best. Oh, this one's interesting. 15 miles on a treadmill, but you can watch anything, you can listen anything, like you can have people around you. Or 100 miles on your own. No music, no podcast, no people, nothing. And the 100 miles is outside.
Oh, the second one sounds like a cherry on top and the cake. I'll take that one.
Wait. It's 50 miles on treadmill or 100 miles outside?
Yes. But 50 miles, you can have people around you, you can have music, you can have podcasts, like you can have anything.
50
But
50
on a treadmill for sure.
What? Really?
I knew Terry's going to be like, what?
It's not that, I mean,
I'd rather do 100 alone. Think how peaceful.
that ain't peaceful towards
It-
the end.
Yeah, I mean, it would be if you were just like, you'd have to think about your last loop. Imagine how peaceful it would be.
No, that would be much harder and a mental challenge, which you could say is beneficial. So I should choose that because
No, it's not it's not harder, it's easier.
100 miles is not easier than 50 miles
But
ever.
by yourself.
No, 50 miles on the treadmill. Give me like 3 movies. I'll watch the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Boom. That sounds pretty fun. I might go do that.
Katia, what would you pick?
I don't know. It's a tricky one because I don't actually like people. So I would probably do the 50 miles on my own on the treadmill because I already did the 100. So 50 miles on a treadmill.
She says that. She's a liar, though.
Oh my gosh.
What about you, Tay? 100?
Yes, 100 for sure. All I need is
Okay.
Garmin. We talk to each other all day.
Okay, next one. Go one more backyard or Mom 240.
Ooh.
That's the easiest one.
What?
Go one more backyard. Like you're talking specifically BPN's race.
But
Yeah,
don't they
yeah,
go
yeah.
more than 240 miles?
I mean, I would choose a backyard over Moab 240 anyway, and then you make it BPN's backyard. That's easy. The
I
vibes
don't
at
know.
BPN are
I've never
insane.
done either, so I don't know. I feel like no experience. I'll answer that question January 2027 once both events have been complete.
Okay.
I would probably go with the backyard.
Oh,
I think.
damn. All right.
Yeah. Worst thing you have eaten during a run.
Oh,
Gallons of
That's
pickle
easy.
juice.
that was great. So during the Austin Marathon in February, we were running. It was like towards the end. It was like within the last 2 miles. There was this oyster seafood restaurant that was just opening, and they had oysters out for people. And I ate one and I puked.
What?
It was
Why
disgusting.
would
Ew.
you do that?
Because I was like, we were drinking and we were literally eating.
Oh,
We were making a video of just like eating everything and drinking all the alcohol
I
that we
feel
see.
sick right now.
Yeah, I ate an
That-
oyster and puked.
That is disgusting. I thought you were going to say the pizza from the floor.
Oh.
Forgot about that. That actually might be the answer. That was so bad.
One time,
That's why I put that question because I was like, no way he's going to say anything else beside that pizza on the floor.
Oh, I
And then he throws.
One time, Bryson and I did a loop around Lady Bird Lake, and he's trying to prep his stomach for his 100. So he's like, I'm going to eat this whole pizza in 10 miles. And so he's eating it, and then it starts downright pouring, and the box starts falling apart, and the pizza starts falling out of the box because the box is so flimsy, and it falls on the ground, and it's like soaking wet, and he still picks it up and eats it. And not because he wants to, but because Taylor has a camera in his face saying, eat it.
Soggy pizza
Oh.
when you're full and running. It was miserable.
Oh.
The video is on my Instagram, so
Oh my gosh.
The fact that there's video evidence of you actually, like when I watched that video, I was like, no, he won't. No, he won't.
Follow
And
for
then you
part
waited, and I
two.
was like, oh my God.
That's so funny. All right, what is your worst one? She's like, a
I
joke.
I don't actually know, to be honest. I just remember the first time I ran 15K. That's like, what is that, like 10 miles? Just around 10 miles?
yeah.
I remember I was running and I had some dates with me, and I bit in that date and I was almost sick because it
Yeah.
was just too much, too
Dates are nasty.
sweet.
I don't like night dates.
Yeah, I don't mind dates as it is, but like I remember that time when I was running and I had it, I was like, no, but other than that, I haven't eaten pizza from the floor for sure. So
I have. In TSP, my pizza fell on the floor, on the ground, and I was like,
Was it soggy?
No. You got me there. But it did have a crunch to it.
Soggy? Oh, that was so gross. I can't talk about it.
it's funny how you sat down like properly now. You're just not even getting up anymore.
That's so funny.
Music or no music?
No music.
Music.
For a trail run?
Not a trail run.
Well, you're a trail runner.
I just think of whenever we're talking about running, just so you guys know, I automatically just think of myself on Lady Bird Lake Trail. That's like my default. I've run that loop so many times that like if it's not specified of where we're running or what we're doing, I just envision myself on Lady Bird Lake Trail.
You didn't run it that many times because I own 23 local legends on Lady Bird Trail right now.
Okay, we'll see.
Okay, what about you?
Give me a
Katia?
goal.
Now I'm gonna break all your records.
I don't really care. It depends on my mood, but like more recently, no music.
No, if I have music on the trails, I can't see. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like I can't see the rocks that I'm about to. If I can't hear myself stepping on the rocks, I can't see them. It's
Well, yeah, okay. So like if it's a
overstimulating.
trail run technical, like for the backyard ultra, the first 50 miles I didn't listen to any music.
Yeah, every time I try to put music on the trail, I just find that I feel overwhelmed and I'm like, shut this off.
Hot weather runs or cold weather runs?
Cold.
Hot.
Cold for sure.
Hot weather. Cold's disgusting.
All right, let's well, I guess rapid fire, keep going. That's crazy.
100-mile race every month or a marathon every weekend?
Ooh, I like that one.
Marathon every weekend. That's my training block right now. I could do that. But I think the 100-mile every month would be fun.
Yeah, 100
Yeah,
every month.
final answer. What about you?
Same. Maybe not on a road though.
Probably harder.
And the last one, if you could ban one thing in the running world, what would it be?
Ban one thing? Oh my gosh.
I know mine.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna sound like I love live, laugh, love Earth, but I really hate when I'm on trails and I see gel packets on the floor. Like it disturbs me. It makes me feel like sick to be like a part of that consumption. So if I could ban anything, it would be like littering, gel, or just like general nutrition stuff on the ground. Like I just wish that wasn't a thing. I hate when I see that. Especially when you're like on a trail and it's like so pretty and you're having the best time of your life. Like no one really goes there and you look down, you see a goo packet and you're just like, damn, my kind. I always pick them up, but it just makes me feel like I don't want people to like hate us. We have such a beautiful sport. I like hate that.
Go ahead, Katia. I don't know.
I agree with that one actually, because I just keep running and I always see them and I'm like, is it really that hard to?
I'm
to
sure a
just
lot
put
of it
back?
is accidents. Like you just put the empties in like your vest, then your vest becomes loose over time. Like, but still,
No,
like,
I don't like. I can't imagine how it can just put it where you took it from. Like if it didn't fall out when it was full, how is it gonna fall out? How is
well,
the
it's
paper
because
gonna
like
fall out?
once you drink like your water, the vest become loose. Like I always put my gel packets in my sports bra because like my vest will become loose and then they're so light that they can like fly out.
What about you, Bryson?
All right, I think if I could ban one thing in running, it would be, you know, when you go to a run club and there's all these different pace groups, I think it should be like jail time. Jail time. If they say this is the 8-minute pace group and then it's like a 7:30, 7:45. I hate that. And
bark.
it's not that big of a deal, but like it's just it annoys me that it's just every single time.
No, I always tell the pacers at Bark, I'm like, you can go 10 seconds under, 10 seconds over, but that's it. You need to be within that like window. You tell me if they're running too fast. You tell me.
It's not even that. Like anyone can slow down at any point, but it just I don't know. It's like if you want to run faster, then go into the faster pace group.
Period.
Plus, it just breeds like the whole thing of like competition and Strava paces and like
La 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 la.
I don't know.
Okay.
I just like also like now I'm just like fully in the ultra space, so I'm like, why are we caring about pace anyway?
No, literally. Once you go into ultra, you don't even stop your watch. I like don't even stop my watch to like take a whole situation in like a porta potty and like save a dog. Like one time, one of my miles will be like 43 miles. It's just because like or 43 minutes, just because I haven't like stopped.
So okay, really quick story. I forgot to stop my watch during my backyard ultra. I told you that there was like a transition. I had to drive, or I had my brother drive me. I forgot to stop my watch, and so I had 2 miles that were clocked at like sub 3-minute mile, and now Strava thinks my 5K is like 17 minutes.
No, literally, I ruined my Strava doing that once too. I got in a car without stopping my watch, and it says like my 100 meters like 2 seconds. I'm like, great.
It's like they should have AI be able to like flag that.
Literally. Okay, as you know, we always end the podcast saying something we're grateful for. You're our guest, so go ahead and lead the honor.
What am I grateful for? Wow. I'm grateful for human beings that love other human beings.
Aw.
What about the aliens?
I ain't never seen an alien love a human being.
I'm out of this world.
Oh my God.
Katia?
I'm grateful for you to to deal with my nonsense sometimes. No, I'm joking. Actually, I'm grateful for the friends that I have made in the last 6-7 months, and just having people, like-minded people around me that want to learn, want to experience, want to do cool stuff together. And yeah, I'm grateful for you too.
Grateful for you too.
Also grateful for the sappy. Like we said, I met you and then you were always in my life. So I feel like those are like ride or die. Like maybe we were friends in another life. So when we meet each other in this one, it's just like, oh, hey, nice seeing you here. Like, just let's pick up where we left
That's
off.
legit. I feel like what happened to us.
No, yeah, that's what I mean. So I'm thankful for yet another cuckoo round. Thankful that you got that crazy in you because I feel like finding us is hard, but once we're here, we're all united. Proud of you for putting your best step forward. I was funny because I texted you and I was like, how did it go? And you said DNF. I said, you can't DNF a backyard. I was like, proud of you with a goat emoji. Like, you know, like you're so funny. You're like, DNF.
That is funny, actually.
Oh my gosh.
I think it was like I had just DNF when you texted me.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn. I was just like, hey, checking in.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you guys so much for listening. What is your Instagram?
Bryson NJ.
If you want to find Katia, it's at alter ego Katia, Kitija. My Instagram is at Taylor_Rockwell. If you want to follow us online, we have at Outrun Us Challenges. You can listen to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Go ahead and give us a 5-star rating if you liked this. It helps with sponsorships and making sure you guys are live, laugh, happy. Moab 240 is in 70 some days, October 9th. If you want to support Project Moab, go ahead and go to yougotitgirl.com. YGIGA partnered with. We made Project Moab shirts, beanies, and hoodies. A big portion of it goes to helping me, supporting me and my crew to make sure we go out there and we're safe and have a good time. So we appreciate you listening, supporting, running. You guys rock. So we'll see you in the next episode.
Peace.
Bye.
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 Bye.